What's going on? Is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. A suspect has been arrested in connection with what authorities called a targeted attack at a Tesla service center in Las Vegas last week. Arrest records show Paul Kim, 36, was taken into custody Wednesday on suspicion of third-degree arson, property destruction, shooting a gun into a vehicle, and possession of an explosive or flammable device. All right, so I'm going to go over into the sheriff's and they can give a rundown of exactly who this person is. I'll probably give you a photograph, and then in addition to that, tell you exactly how they caught him.
With me today is Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Spencer Evans, and Assistant Sheriff Dory Korn with the LVMPD Homeland Security and Investigative Services. They'll be two of the individuals speaking. The rest of the individuals up here are also the command team that helped lead through this investigation over the course of the last week. And I'm here to provide you a significant update on the Tesla attack that took place early last week. This event involved an attack on the Tesla Collision and Sales Center on Tuesday, March 18th at approximately 02:45. The suspect used a firearm and Molotov cocktails to damage the center and destroy multiple vehicles that were parked on site. You'll see to my left some of that video that was taken from that night. On the screen next to me is also what I want to highlight to each one of you is the very little information that my investigators and FBI agents had to work with from the initial aspect of this investigation. There's a grainy photograph of the suspect's vehicle, a nearly indescribable photo of the suspect himself, and a couple of photographs of headlights and taillights of the vehicle. That's what my investigators had to go on a week ago. Part of this story that you're going to hear is how we arrived at our suspect being taken into custody with such little information. It's incredible work by everybody involved. And despite that minimal information at the onset, and thanks to the hard work and collaborative effort by the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, the LVMPD Counterterrorism Section, and all of our Fusion Center partners, we were able to identify and arrest the suspect involved in this attack. There's a couple social media photos that that have been circulated out there already. The suspect's name is Paul Kim, K-I-M. He's an Asian male adult, and he is 36 years of age. I'm going to transition now to Assistant Sheriff Dory Korn to explain to you exactly what happened over the course of this last week. Sheriff Korn.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. I'm Assistant Sheriff Dory Korn at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I oversee our Homeland Security and Investigative Services group, which includes our counterterrorism section. I have the opportunity here to provide the details of the investigation, but there's no doubt this was a collaborative effort involving multiple agencies, numerous, actually hundreds of personnel that have been involved. Some of the key people, to include folks that are standing back here, like Lieutenant Rick Myers, who oversees our counterterrorism section, were instrumental. And because of all of their hard work, we were able to quickly identify and apprehend the Tesla firebombing suspect in record-breaking time. Based on the updated evidence that we now have a better understanding, a more comprehensive understanding of what actually happened. And I'm going to provide some details as we walk through a little bit of a timeline on what occurred and then what we know about the suspect now. So we'll begin with just talking about how the suspect arrived. He arrived east of the location in a vehicle, showed up in a black sedan just parked east of the Tesla Collision Center. You can see on this video clip here, we highlighted the area because it's at the top of your screen, and you'll be able to see the arrival of the vehicle. You'll be able to see that the vehicle comes in, originally driving westbound where you can see the headlights, and then turns around where you can see the taillights, and he reverses back into where he parks. The suspect then proceeds on foot and approaches the corner of the building. As you've seen before and as you've probably heard, and certainly as we're showing today, he attempted to mask his identity by wearing black attire, concealing his face, and wearing gloves. The suspect then began shooting the surveillance cameras with what appeared to be a rifle. You can see an image here of the suspect pointing the rifle towards a camera. At least 2 surveillance cameras were damaged by gunfire. And then upon shooting the cameras, the suspect proceeded to the front doors of the Tesla, and he began spray painting the words "resist" across the doors. I'll let this video play because you'll get a better shot of the suspect. You can see his description as he goes across the clear doors there, committing his act of crime. Once he finishes spray painting the words "resist" on the doors, he then approaches multiple Tesla vehicles that were parked in the front of the center. He proceeded to shoot into each vehicle and used a Molotov cocktail to set the vehicles on fire. We'll play a few video clips here to kind of show you his behavior. You can see him right there in the dark clothing. He casually walks over to his first vehicle that's targeted. He will soon put down his backpack onto the ground. And then he transitions to the firearm. And you'll see him shoot into the vehicle. Once he shoots into the vehicle, he ends up going back from the vehicle to the bag and then back to the car, presumably picking up his item that he used to be able to firebomb the vehicle. We believe that was a Molotov cocktail. And you'll see in a moment here, the vehicle will ignite and ultimately fully engulf, causing severe damage. The suspect then continues on to a second vehicle, and you can see here he's on to the second target. He'll do very similar behavior where he shoots into the vehicle, he goes into the backpack, retrieves an item, and ultimately you'll notice here that he ends up getting the second vehicle on fire as well. From there, he then proceeds to his third vehicle, repeats the same type of activity. One of the incendiary devices he was not able to ignite, which is one of the devices that we were able to recover. But ultimately, 5 vehicles were damaged, to include 3 of which were fully destroyed. You can see images of the vehicles here. And then you'll see here a drone video. This is from our Skydio drone, being able to provide an overview of the damage as well. After this, the suspect then proceeds and flees east, gets in his vehicle, and leaves the area. As I mentioned earlier, this case has been worked around the clock, and Sheriff McMahill and Special Agent in Charge Spencer Evans have made it a top priority for our organization and put a tremendous amount of workforce behind it to make sure that this was dealt with in a quick manner. Because of that, in 8 days around the clock with our teams, we were able to identify the suspect's vehicle as a black Hyundai Elantra. You'll see a photo here. But what's important to point out here is that this was achieved through an exhaustive review of surveillance material, analytical data, and a canvas of over 700 locations across the valley, ultimately allowing us to piece together critical evidence with speed and precision. You can see on this image here, this is just one example of many where we're using the flock technologies to be able to identify the type of vehicle, including very specific features of the vehicle that build up into additional leads and ultimately get us to the point of identifying the suspect and his vehicle.
And I think that that's enough right there, right? It's enough. We've seen enough here. It's unfortunate because these idiots don't realize the level of technology that they've been deployed when it comes to finding you, piecing together all of the pieces of the puzzle, understanding exactly where your location is, triangulating exactly where your cell phone, where you were, who was in the area, the towers, and all of that stuff. And I'm sure that there's plenty of other technology in addition to whatever it is that he's being charged with. They're also, and the Trump administration said this, that they are giving out domestic terrorism charges against these people. They are not messing around. They are throwing the book at him, and he's probably going to be facing 20 years, upwards of 20 years, with no plea deal, and he's going to be prosecuted to the furthest extent of the law. Meanwhile, I did get news earlier today that Tesla has sold out of all of its Model Ys, the legacy Model Ys, before it even relaunches the new one. And then they relaunch a launch series, which is basically the equivalent of Foundation series for the Cybertruck for the new Model Y. And Tesla's stock has rebounded significantly. So you didn't hurt yourself. All you did was let these politicians finesse you into getting a 20-year sentence, and they're not even going to apologize. They're not going to lobby to get you out, and you have no pardon coming. And when you get the full force of the law, including the President of the United States of America and the richest man in the world, this is what you can expect. So for all of you raging liberals, I would suggest that you probably put a fork in it and stop trying to be so cute. And a 36-year-old probably won't get out of jail until he's 60. But, Anton will be keeping a loop on that for the time being. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Stay safe, my friends.